A little bit harder a question. Jamie, this one dropped in during your segment. Again, it's open to all of our panelists, but perhaps you want to take the first shot at it. The question was, what is the biggest challenge that you consistently hear when it comes to discussing operational transfer pricing with your potential customers and partners?
Right now, pretty much in every polling question that we've had is really trying to marry your actual data with the forecast to be able to do some prospective analysis operationally. The organizations that do it well are collaborative between the tax departments and the finance organizations, but oftentimes, tax may not be as plugged into the forecasting side, and the way that forecasting is done from a management basis and maybe like an operational basis related to product lines or details, and so kind of aligning that actual to forecast data is traditionally been a big challenge, and it's certainly something that's highlighted in almost every discussion that we have with a customer.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And we'll try and squeeze in another quick question before we need to wrap things up. Robin, this one dropped in during your segment. Again, it is open to all of our panelists here. But Robin, what can taxpayers expect from the OECD?
Well, as I mentioned, they are currently working on providing some sort of guidance, so practical and illustrative examples, how to apply the arm's length principle to the current economic conditions. And that is due out in November. I would also add that sort of also coincides with our other work stream around Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. So they certainly have their work cut out for them. In that, I would look for discussions around, how to pragmatically approach the benchmarking. They acknowledge the data lags that we've discussed, how to consider these, government subsidies, wage programs, the PPP loans in the US that Michael was talking about. They're all going to have different local accounting treatment, different local tax treatment, and how that should also flow into transfer pricing and comparability analysis. So I'd look out for that. In the meantime, I would say that tax directors should be very focused on developing their internal story. We've seen it already in the guidance from Singapore that I discussed, these additional elements they're going to ask for in transfer pricing documentation. I think that's going to be pretty widespread, well beyond Singapore as well. So it's qualitative in terms of, how has COVID impacted your business, your subsidiary in that country, your group generally? Who are the decision makers around critical, business changes in the organization? How has your functional profile changed? How have your value drivers changed, as Michael was just discussing with respect to platforms? And then the quantitative side, what were the evidence? I think it's going to be critical for defense purposes, irrespective of what happens on the benchmarking side.